Hello people and welcome back to News Review. And for this week's news, the main thing is that Elfish Perennials are getting a PR. So let's get right into it. First off, we actually have something that's not that. First off, we have a free card, a new Ancient War free card. Adam, an Earth Machina, who is accompanying Lilith's buffs. More on that a little bit later. He has two actives. But one is CD6 and one is CD8. For the first one, it is CD6, a super converter of sorts, where you tap two types of runestones, and the first type of runestone is what you will turn Water, Fire, and Earth into, and the second type of runestone is what you will turn Light, Dark, and Heart into. This effect repeats for 2 rounds at the end of each round. So yeah, you convert a lot of runestones over a lot of rounds, so this is kind of unique. I mean, you know, so I see this card having maybe potential. It's definitely better than your standard converter, and probably better than your standard converter because it doesn't only have one skill. The second skill, CD8, refresh your protective shield and everything has the effect of Earth. I'm not quite sure where this fits in since well, I mean, first off, there aren't that many Machina leaders around. The only one I can even think of that has a protective shield, because I don't have many of the recent leaders, is Atom, but Atom is not a Machina leader. Atom is like a whatever leader. You can like put whatever kind of members you want in her team and they just work just fine. If I remember correctly, that is. Because she depends on fire and light and also having like multiple races in the team. More than running a pure Machina setup, if what I'm operating off is correct. Adam does have bonding skills with all the with the old Black Gold Lilith and the new Summertime Lilith, which is the most recent one, the one that's still going on right now, the super skill character. With the old Lilith, you get combo count +1 by dissolving Lilith's character runestone. This is like the most useless bond skill I've ever seen with Lilith, because I mean it's not like terrible if you're using Lilith as a member, but I mean she's bad, but not like, you know, that bad just yet where she is relegated to member status. And I guess more importantly, there aren't good Machina leaders apart from her right now, so that's quite funny. She will be sticking around as a leader a little bit more, hopefully, because she is getting a buff to her leader skill and her team skill. First off, for her leader skill, just some multiplier adjustments, team attack times 10 now instead of times 8, and HP recovery times 2.2 instead of 1.8. This should help out I mean, I wouldn't say she has low HP, but it just gives her more HP. And the damage problem, this should help out by a lot as well. Also times 6 here instead of times 4 for your types of instance dissolved. And you get extra combos for every 5 instances dissolved, as opposed to every 6 now, so that's why the combo bond skill is even more redundant. This should hopefully make the damage a little better. I mean, I have used Lilith like recently, not that recently, but even then, damage was kind of abysmal. I basically brought the entire team being stat boosters, attack boosters. And then the damage became a bit manageable, which goes to show that like Lilith's kind of team setup, like her team skill, is still fine. It's her damage that is kind of being a problem. They also modified her active. The only thing they modified is that it deals 100 million damage per attack, per go. I don't even know what to like describe this. It's not an attack because you don't launch an attack. It's direct damage, I guess. Each instance of direct damage would be a good way to phrase that. Yeah, basically doubles her direct damage output. And then they changed the wording to make it better. And for her team skill, the condition, they changed it to be she only needs to be a leader instead of being leader and ally. This, I mean, is fine, but I don't know why they put this here, because while in theory this allows better like team flexibility, by the fact that they changed her leader skill as well, I don't see a better like ally. I mean, you could argue for Atom, maybe. I glanced over the leader skill and it does seem to work well with herself instead of some other Machina leader, but maybe. And Atom's active, I mean, I guess it could come in handy, the fixed board. But apart from Atom, I don't see like Lilith working well with another leader, especially because her own forms, like both Liliths, if you have two Liliths in the team, inherit the forms given by her active. If you have that, I guess it matters less for one of the forms, but one of them is concentrating damage, and having two cards concentrate the damage instead of one is great, unless I'm misremembering the entire thing and it only does for one and it's only cosmetic, in which case ignore what I'm saying. Anyway, moving on to the, I guess, main part of this, Elvish Perennials Power Release Part 1. They're doing this thing once again where they release Part 1 and Part 2 like slightly off from each other. For no apparent reason. I mean, the next one really isn't long. I think finally that's good. I mean, they took the feedback from the time that they split up the PR to be really far apart, which makes no sense, honestly. But the next one, the other one, the Part 2, will be on the 31st of July, so that's not that long of a wait. That's quite fine. The first four characters are Rose, Sakura, Strelitzia, and Rose Mellow. Elvish Perennials have a team skill as well, where they have skill CDs -3 after entering a stage. Retaliating and flaming arrows will be nullified at 4 times recovery into attack, and when there is recovery, deal a non-shooter damage of 100 times recovery surplus to all enemies, and when your HP is full, you get willpower. Standard stuff, not like too impactful. Ignoring retaliation and flaming areas is quite good, but rather niche, I would say. Your recovery surplus, I really don't think it matters, unless like this team can somehow generate insane amounts of recovery, which I don't see. I mean, on paper the recovery is good, but I don't know how much damage you're really dishing out with this team skill. Maybe it's amazing, but there's no way to find out without playtesting. First off, it's Rose. As you know, Dark Elf. I mean, this is less of like, should you pull, because I think pulling for old cards is kind of a trap. If you have these cards, it's more of like, should you PR and then, you know, proceed to use them as a leader. So this chart, I guess, this table on the right is more of like, you know, general power level guidelines more than, you know, if you don't have this card, should you actively pull for this card? Because, I mean, you know, probably not, is the answer for most old cards. Anyway, she can now have demons in her team. Elves and demons get these dark members. Elves and demons get her leader skill effects, but it is mainly elves and demons that you want to put in Rose. Attack and recovery times 8, HP times 2, by dissolving Heart Moonstones, team attack times 3.5 additionally, combo count +5, and Heart has 300% effect of everything that is not Heart. That's a weird way I just said that. This is fine. I mean, the recovery time's 8, right? This is a high multiplier, but is it high enough to actually, you know, deal any damage to anyone? I don't know. Moving on to her team skill, you get 3 seconds movement time extra. By dissolving all runestones in a row in the first batch, 6 enchanted Heart Elf runestones will be generated for each row dissolved. This was her original gimmick. This is now upgraded to actually generate enchanted elf runestones instead of just normal stuff. Ignore sticky, which is fine. Not ignoring burning really sucks, because I remember it being rather difficult to dissolve rows of runestones in addition to dealing with enemy skills back in the day. I think that with the new power releases, we're finally getting to, you know, times where like I actually remember using these leaders. When I was first, I mean, like close to first starting, I guess, just like, you know, messing around. Yeah, it was really hard to actually dissolve rows, because you gotta dissolve rows first batch, and it doesn't have to be like a whole row of runestones, like a group of 6. It could be 3 + 3, but even then it's like hard to deal with if you know, can't ignore some stuff that the enemy throws at you. Ignoring step damage is good, but step damage doesn't come up that often. And then the more the rows of runestones are dissolved in the first batch, the more effects will be granted. 1 or more rows is team attack times 2, 2 or more is ignore fixed combo, and 3 or more is Elvish Perennials skill CDs -1. So it's really dependent on these rows that you dissolve to get the multiplier off. And I don't see like too much like inbuilt shield solving. I mean, 3 seconds is fine. I would prefer more, especially if you're wanting to dissolve like a large number of rows. Once again, if you like can't dissolve heart, this team is basically dead. Use a different leader. The weakness hasn't changed. I didn't really expect it to, because this is not your, you know, all-purpose leader. This is an elf leader, and this I think fits perfectly into being an alternative for an elf leader. I'm sure the damage, like attack damage, will be great, at least for the time being. It's just, it'll be a little finicky, although, you know, in my opinion anyway, way less finicky than something like, you know, Jubei Yagyu with the goddamn crosses. He also has a not combination skill. This is technically a team skill that is basically a combination skill, with a ultimate card, Nepenthes. So this card is really bad in a space form. I even forgot what it was, and I doubt you remember either. So here's what this card is. It's a Fire Demon ultimate card that you can get in the LR pass. Originally the active sucks, but the new active, when Rose is also in the team, is that it turns the board enchanted, and the 4-round team attack times 2.5 by dissolving 2 or more groups of fire, dark, or heart in total. Team attack times 3.5, and Rose and Nepenthes ignore specific damage reducing resistance. This is the first elf card to ignore damage reducing resistance. I don't even know what to count this as, because it's a not combination skill between an elf and a demon. So, I mean, I guess, yeah, make of that what you will. This is good though, I guess, because it is, you know, stat boosting. So I always welcome stat boosting in team skills, especially because, you know, this active skill for Nepenthes actually, you know, makes it usable. So probably a good card to always put in Rose teams. Moving on to Rose's active, CD6, select and swipe to remove 2 rows of runestones. This is great, an upgrade from previously where it was only a converter for 1 row. To generate enchanted elf heart runestones. For 1-round elves, attack and recovery times 2.5, ignore puzzle shield, and if there are only elves or in addition to a Nepenthes in the team, at the end of the round, character skill CD -3, which means that once 6 rounds are over and your initial skill activation actually goes off, this actually can refresh itself rather fast, especially if you dissolve 3 or more rows of runestones in the first batch. Overall, I rate this card, you know, somewhere between 50 and 175 diamonds, although that's like only kind of a loose rating, because once again, this rating is not to be taken as should you pull for this card. Once again, should you pull for the banner, please wait for part 2 to come out at the very, very least. I wouldn't evaluate it right now. Moving on to Sakura, a fire elf card. Leader skill is kind of, well, it's not the same. I just noticed the attack and recovery and HP multipliers are the same. Sakura can have fire members and elf members. Fire and heart have a 50% effect of everything. By dissolving 15 fire heart in total, team attack times 6 additionally, and fire and heart can be dissolved by aligning 2 or more of them. This is not only in the first batch, this is also for Skydrop. Perfect team skill, you also get 3 extra seconds. Ignore burning, that's good. No ignore sticky sucks. Ignoring scorching is quite good, because scorching is getting very annoying nowadays. For each group of water, fire, earth dissolved in the first batch, 5 enchanted fire will be generated. And for each group of light, dark, or heart runestones dissolved in the first batch, 5 enchanted heart elf runestones will be generated. And for every 8 fire heart runestones dissolved cumulatively, 1 enchanted fire elf runestone will be generated. When 8 or more combos are made, ignore initial shield, and when 16 or more combos are made, the leader and ally each launch 5 extra attacks of 1 attribute each, as much as 50% of its attack. That was a lot of text. What is this actually? I think she seems fine. There's no way to evaluate her damage, you know, just on paper right now. The one thing I do remember is that her damage sucked back in the day. Like, even with all the sky drop and stuff, the damage just really sucked. Hopefully that's not the case here. They did get rid of the, like, not get rid, but like the ignoring scorching areas is quite nice, because this is a heavily sky drop dependent leader. Also heavily dependent on your first batch dissolve, which is really bad in today's meta environment, because a lot of stuff stops you from doing any kind of first batch dissolve. just a variety of enemy skills stop you from doing first batch dissolves, and teams that rely heavily on that are not good. Her quintet attacks are nice though. I mean, in build, basically this is extra attacks and also quintet solving. If you've played with Napoleon, you'll know how good this is. He also has a team skill that boosts HP with Felizia, which is a upcoming card. It is also getting a power release. 1.5 is quite good. I mean, not that high, not that low. Once again, probably, you know, always put Felizia in Sakura teams if you want to run Sakura as a leader. Her active in CD6, restore the board to normal, explode all runestones, generate enchanted elf fire and heart runestones of fixed numbers and fixed positions. This will probably most likely be her old board, just with the enchanted and elf runestones on top of that. I do like this active upgrade because it restores the board, and fixed boards are always nice. I remember using this card for fixed board purposes. I mean, actually, I remember using this card for fixed board purposes before Amber basically took over, I think. And I don't even remember if this card used to be fixed board on activation. I think it used to be fixed board at the end of the round, which this still has, but having it on activation is quite a lot better. Going around, elves attack and recover becomes 1.6 and ignore duet, trio, quartet, and quintet elemental shield. This is the third ever card to do this, so quite unique in that regard. That is after, what is this card's name? Anyway, that's quite a nice active skill. I ranked her at 50 diamonds. So that's just assuming that her damage is actually not horrible. Hopefully it's not, and it's actually usable for the meantime as an alternative elf leader. Moving on to Rosemellow, a fire elf that, you know, is halfway in the trash because it really, I mean, it should fully be in the trash. I don't see anyone using this ever. It's CD5, a basic converter, turns the columns below Elvish Perennial members into attributed runestones, and the columns below other members into heart runestones. And if your HP is 1 or full, you'll CD -3. It's a fast converter, I'll give you that, but converters just aren't cutting it nowadays. And lastly, Strelitzia, a light elf CD6 for 1 round for every 3 heart or elf runestones dissolved. Each heart elf runestone will be counted twice. This is actually quite nice. The character launches 1 extra non-attributive attack, a nice typo, as much as 3 times its attack to the max 10 extra attacks. End of leader is Sakura. At the end of the round, this character's skill CD -3. This card is useful when you want to launch a lot of non-attributive extra attacks. This, I mean, it is quite a lot of damage, like in the non-attributive department. It's just rare that you ever want to do this, but when you do, this card can come in clutch, so I put that at 5 diamonds. Niche but useful effect. Moving on to the last new card on the list, a new ultimate card, the Summer Clo, a Light Beast CD6. I actually got access to this card right now because of the real life Madhead fans gathering event. Not that I can really do anything with this, it's just kind of interesting that they chose to give this card out early to people there. Turn the columns below beasts into enchanted light beast runestones. Turn the columns below other members into dark runestones. For 1 round, only the first batch runestones can be dissolved. This I do actually see, you know, having a good niche effect. You know, in case of like scorching areas or something like that. Of course, if you have Caesar, you're not worrying about that. But not having Skydrop can sometimes be good. For each light or dark dissolved in the first batch, combo count +1 to the max +15. That's quite good given that, you know, your whole board will either be light or dark. Or, I mean, rather, light and dark, sorry. And if an enemy is defeated at the end of the round, explode the columns below beasts to generate heart moonstones. This is a unique effect. That's why I put it like a little bit above up to you, because this seems like a package of niche effects. So first off, I mean, generally restricting your sky drop isn't good. Sometimes, very rarely, it's quite nice. Exploding the board at the end of the round, I don't think is something that I've seen. I mean, I've probably seen it before on someone's active, maybe. Definitely on someone's team skill, but rarely is it on like a card's active that you explode the board at the end of a round. This can get around like, well, any enemy skill really, because enemy skills don't take effect in the middle of rounds. So I find these cards to be interesting at the very least, if not, you know, one day useful. If it is useful, someone will find a use for this. You know, I'll bet everything on that, because the people are just way too creative. Moving on to the celebration events. You of course got the Ancient Wars for the Ancient Wars card. You get the challenge stage for the new PR characters. You get the Diamond Seal coming back for Elfish Perennials. You get a new ultimate stage for Chloe, a returning ultimate stage of Oliver, which is this fire elf that kind of sucks. Get one if you haven't. It's fine, it's like an elf attack booster. The Diamond Seal event for Lilith is also coming back. Do I recommend you pull for her if you don't have her? Probably not, unless you have a lot of diamonds and you're lacking a Machina leader. That's what I would say. Also, watch out for actual performance, like in a video or something when she comes out before pulling, because her buffs seem good, but they might suck even after the buff, and you might be better off like waiting for an actual usable Machina leader instead of pulling something that like doesn't work very well right now. And then lastly, a returning challenge mission of this guy, Soho Takwan, who is very, very new. I don't know why they're reintroducing this guy so fast. Like, the quintet attacks don't even... I mean, the quintet attacks don't matter now because they're inbuilt on Napoleon. Ignoring initial shield, I guess, is fine. And then, I mean, I don't know. This is just an attack booster. And as I said last week, Napoleon doesn't need any more attack boosters. He has insane damage, so oh well. But that is it for this week's news review. If you liked it, please leave a like. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments below. And if you enjoy this in general, please subscribe. It gives me motivation to make more of these in the future as well. And I'll see you in the next video. See ya!